Hello, I'm Ollie and this is CriminOlly, where I talk about crime, pulp, horror, that kind of thing. Today I've got a book haul for you. So as you may remember, I'm currently on my Read What You Own challenge, which means I need to read 100 books I already own before I can buy any new ones. So I'm forbidden from buying new books at the moment. I'm not, however, forbidden from receiving books as gifts or from authors or publishers. So I do have a few things to go through with you today that have come into the house recently, all of which would look absolutely fantastic. So a few things that were gifts. Most of the things here are review copies that I've been sent, a couple of which I'm very, very excited about. So let me go through them with you. I'll start with the gifts. So the first of these is this one, which has a fantastic cover. So this is Necrology by Meg Ripley, rather. So this was a Christmas gift from MJ from the channel Reading This Live. So I'm a member of MJ's Patreon. And as part of that, she sends to her top tier members, she sends a Christmas book. So this is the one that I got, and it looks fantastic. I really like the cover. It's supposed to be, I think, a very effective horror novel. Set in the aftermath of the Salem witch trials, apparently. So yeah, I love the kind of cross-stitch style cover of this. So yeah, definitely looking forward to that one. Next, another Christmas book, kind of. So this was kindly sent to me by Roy from the channel Roy Reads Anything. So this is a Sweet Valley High Super Chiller, or Sweet Valley Twins Super Chiller, actually. So this is, I think, these books are kind of prequels to the Sweet Valley High series. So as you may be able to see, this is The Christmas Ghost by Francine Pascal, or created by Francine Pascal. Now, who's this one by? Okay, so this is by Jamie Suzanne. So the Sweet Valley High books I've read so far have been all by an author called Kate William, who I think wrote most of those. So clearly a different author writing the kind of middle grade equivalent to Sweet Valley High. So yes, a spooky Christmas story. This looks very, very entertaining. I think Roy sent me this because he had a duplicate copy of it, and I think he's going to save his copy to read at Christmas. So I think I'll probably do the same. Maybe do a buddy read with Roy at Christmas. We're doing a buddy read of a different Sweet Valley High book soon. So yeah, looking forward to diving into this one at some point. Couple of things next up from my wife. So the first is a book she found in the library book sale by an author I haven't heard of, but it looks really good. So it's The Abomination by Jonathan Holt, which is a crime novel, but it sounds like it's got a kind of spooky supernatural thriller-ish air to it as well. So the brief blurb on the back reads, "A dead woman in the robes of a priest, a revelation that will rewrite history. The abomination has arrived." So it almost sounds like an Omen style thing. So yeah, I don't know anything about this author, but it does look like an interesting fun read. And then the other thing she got me was by another author who I haven't heard of, but who I feel like I should have heard of. So the author is Celia Fremlin, and the book is called Don't Go to Sleep in the Dark. So this is a short story collection. Fantastic cover. I really, really love that cover. And apparently she was Britain's Patricia Highsmith, which, given that Patricia Highsmith lived in Britain for a while, I don't know how Patricia Highsmith would feel about that description. The Sunday Times here calls her the grandmother of psycho-domestic noir. So she definitely sounds like an author who I will appreciate. But yeah, one I haven't heard of. So this, I think, has stories from like the 50s and 60s, I want to say. 60s. First published in 1970, this collection. But yeah, fantastic cover and sounds very interesting. So if you've read any Celia Fremlin, do let me know what she's like. As I say, I'd never heard of her, but this looks fantastic. Okay, the final two gifts then, maybe the two most fantastic things in this book haul video. So they were sent to me. So let me show you the main thing first, and then I'll show you the two gifts that came with it. So the main thing is the latest edition of Midnight Magazine. So Midnight Magazine, I've talked about on the channel before. A fantastic horror magazine that focuses on like horror movies, but horror books as well, and just kind of on trash culture generally. So very, very much the kind of thing that I enjoy. So Eric, who's the editor of Midnight Magazine, sends me copies every so often. They have always been fantastic. I've always really, really enjoyed them. So this one, let me give you a sense of, you can see it's like just beautifully put together. Let me give you a sense of some of the articles that we've got in here. So there's an article about Carl Weathers. There's a review of, or an article about the movie The Haunting, based on The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. There's an article about Splatterpunk. There's an article about the movie Killer Shrews. There's an article about the actor David McCallum. So just some great stuff in here. A load of book reviews and things like that as well. You can see there. In fact, one of the books that's reviewed here is The Auctioneer by Joan Sampson, which I'm going to be reading next month. So I may wait until after I've read the book before I read the review. But yeah, just a fantastic magazine. Always really beautifully put together and just lovingly done. Clearly created by people who really, really love the horror genre. So yes, thank you very much for sending that, Eric. But Eric also sent 2 paperbacks he'd picked up that he had duplicates of, both of which look phenomenal. So they are both from the Ninja Master series. Who could resist a series called the Ninja Master series, which I think came out in the 70s. So we've got, so they're both by Wade Barker. Whether Wade Barker was actually the author's name or not, I'm not sure. So we've got $1 Million Massacre and Only the Good Die. And let me just read you the blurb of Only the Good Die because it's fantastic. 3 ways to die. The butcher, torture and mutilation are his calling cards. The baker, burning bodies are his legacy of death. The candlestick maker leaves his deadly mark with dynamite, blasting his victims into bloody oblivion. Brett Wallace, which is a great name, Brett Wallace, Ninja Master, takes on this unholy alliance, standing against their knives, firebombs and dynamite with the awesome power of the secret art, the only weapon that can topple their brutal reign of terror, the soul of the ninja. So yes, I am very excited about reading those. Okay, next up then, let me go through all the things that I've been sent for review. I'm just checking them. Yep, these are all review things. So the first is a thriller, Ways to Die in Tokyo by Thomas Ran Garver, which just sounds like a really fun, entertaining thriller. Let me read you the beginning of the blurb because it just sounds great. Still reeling from his divorce 2 years ago and with his career on the rocks, journeyman MMA fighter Hank Fisher is struggling to make ends meet in Tokyo. When a friend with Yakuza connections offers him the opportunity to make some quick cash, Fisher hesitates at first. The job sounds too good to be true. 2 gangs are going to have a meeting to resolve a dispute over a wayward stripper, and one of the groups wants a big foreigner to accompany them to the meeting. They'll pay Fisher 10 large, and all he has to do is sit there and look tough for an hour. So yes, that looks very, very entertaining indeed. Looking forward to that. Next up, some horror. So this has a fantastic cover. I really like this cover. I just think it's very, very effective, and kind of feels a bit like a kind of I guess like a 90s serial killer type cover maybe, but this looks great. So this is about a struggling filmmaker who ends up unintentionally getting involved in making snuff movies. So yeah, sounds very, very much my kind of dark, gripping thriller style horror. So yeah, looking forward to that one. Next, a short story collection, Strange Frequencies by Richard Clive. Sorry, I didn't say what this was called, did I? So this is View Count Rising by Sullivan Ledger. So yes, next we have Strange Frequencies by Richard Clive, which has a foreword by the great Ramsey Campbell, which is high recommendation indeed, and also a blurb on the back from Mark Morris, a fantastic British horror writer. Richard Clive's stories are refreshingly varied and never short of compelling. He is definitely a name to watch. So yeah, this looks very interesting. I do like the description on the back as well. A World War I fighter pilot tortured by guilt, a New York mobster desperately counting the hours until his execution, an elderly man losing his mind in a decrepit nursing home, all must face their regrets and the notion that we build our own hell brick by brick. So that does sound like a fun short story collection. Very much looking forward to this. There are, I guess, like 10 short stories in here. So yeah, that should be good. Next up, a few things that were sent to me by Flame Tree Press. So I've got 3 different things from Flame Tree Press. The first is this one. So this is Requiem by John Palisano, which looks like kind of horror sci-fi. So let me read you a bit of the blurb. Eden is a colossal moon-sized cemetery in space where the souls of the deceased rest, including Ava's beloved Roland, but the tranquility is shattered when the souls awake. The departed have begun to torment the living with ghostly apparitions and ethereal whispers. So that does sound interesting. Not heard of the author before, but I do like that cover as well. So yeah, a bit of spooky sci-fi horror. And then some more sci-fi by the sound of it, with a very enticing blurb, I have to say. So the book is A Rebel's History of Mars by Nadia Afifi, and the little tagline on the front says, past and future collide on Mars when an aerialist turns assassin. I do like the idea of an aerialist turned assassin. I think there's an Alistair MacLean book. Is it Circus by Alistair MacLean that has like a trapeze artist who's an assassin? So yes, this looks like a fun read as well. Let me read you a bit of the back. Keza, an aerialist in the Martian circus, can never return to Earth, but she can assassinate the man she blames for her grim life on the Red Planet. Her murderous plans take an unexpected turn, however, when she uncovers a sinister secret. So this sounds like my kind of sci-fi. It sounds, and I mean this with respect, slightly trashy, but definitely entertaining. And then the other thing from Flame Tree, delightfully, is one of these lovely Beyond and Within editions. So they've sent me a few of these in the past, and they're just beautifully presented. So I don't know if you can see, it's got nice edging on the pages there. The ones they've sent me before have all been like anthologies, but this, I think, is short stories all by the same author. So the author is Cheryl S. Ntumi. The collection is called Black Friday, and it's a series of short horror stories from Africa. Oh, sorry, not horror, fantasy and science fiction. So short fantasy and science fiction stories from Africa. And they have lovely illustrations as well. Let me show you. You can see that at the start there. So yeah, these are really, really lovely editions. These would make great gifts, I think, for people who are fans of kind of horror and sci-fi. So they've done like a folk horror one, a few different volumes that I've shown on the channel in the past. So yeah, looking forward to diving into this. Next up, another short story collection by an author I very much admire, V. Castro. So V very kindly sent me this. So this is the Pink Agave Motel, which is her new short story collection, which has just come out from Clash Books. Came out, I think, about a week ago. I think this is on the spicy side, so I imagine there'll be some horror in here as well, but I think it's definitely on the spicy side. You can see it looks like it's going to be slightly spicy from that cover. Let me read you a bit from the back. Readers are invited to the Pink Agave Motel, where brutality and intimacy ooze across the pages, exploring the depths of the unhinged imagination and how human desire unlocks the impulse to bite. Castro's voice, influenced by Mexican folklore and a feminist perspective, illuminates a deeper view of how unrequited love affects every type of being alike. So yeah, definitely looking forward to this, and it's got some great like swag inside as well. So a nice little kind of candy style sticker, a Pink Agave Motel fridge magnet, a Haunting of Alejandra bookmark, and a nice little postcard for Maria the Wanted, which is a book that's coming out soon from V. Castro from Titan Books. And speaking of Titan Books, the final book I have to show you is Eric LaRocca's new book, Dark, I Become Loathsome. I do love the style of these Titan covers they're doing for their hardback volumes of his books. I think they're really, really nicely designed, and the books are just a lovely size as well. So yeah, I really, really enjoy Eric's work. Very much looking forward to this one. I think Sadie Hartman, Mother Horror, said she thought it was his best book yet. So high praise indeed. Let me read you a bit of the blurb. If you're reading this, you've likely thought that the world will be a better place without you. A single line of text glowing in the darkness of the internet, written by Ashley Lutin, who has often thought that, and worse, in the years since his wife died and his young son disappeared. But the peace of the grave is not for Ashley, it's for those he can help. Ashley Lutin has constructed a peculiar ritual for those whose desire to die is at war with their yearning to live a better life. So very interesting. He always has very intriguing ideas, Eric LaRocca, which are immediately kind of enticing and slightly creepy, and this sounds like no exception. So yeah, looking forward to diving into this soon. So there you go, it's a bit of a book haul for you. Let me know if you've read any of the books or any of the authors that I've shown, and as always, thanks very much for watching. I hope you're safe and well out there. I hope you're reading good stuff, and I'll speak to you again very soon. Cheerio.